I was shocked when I realized where my feeling of rejection came from. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I realized that my rejection, my sense of being rejected, my life built around trying to be accepted, was not actually the problem I thought it was. There was a problem underneath that problem that when I went and put all of my effort into figuring out what was going on here, into trying to be accepted and really wrestled it out, I understood that there was something completely different that was actually inside my control underneath all of these feelings of rejection. My name is Philip Dosa. I help men address their internal unresolved tension. And in this video today, we're going to be addressing this painful place of feeling rejected, or the pain of constantly living to make everyone around you happy, to make your clients, your customers happy, your boss happy, your kids happy, your wife happy. And in the end, feeling like, I don't know if they're loving me enough, if they're paying me enough, if they're doing all the things that I need. I'm doing all the stuff for them. Why aren't they willing to do stuff for me? And feeling that pain of rejection that comes, that's how I felt in that place. I am sharing this as someone who has lived for years in fear of rejection, in a desire to not be rejected, or at times feeling rejected. Although that wasn't the predominant feeling that I had. The predominant feeling that I had was just a disconnection from myself. So I didn't really understand I was feeling these things. Where this would come out would be like in my relationship with my wife, where I felt that I was being reasonable to ask for certain things from her. When she was unwilling to give those things to me the way that I wanted, I would throw a fit. I would get upset. I would be frustrated because I'm doing all this stuff for you and you're not willing to do these things for me. You're not willing to reciprocate. You must not love me. You must not care about me. And that rejection in that relationship was really the visible signal of this. I also had a frustrating relationship with my kids where I was constantly getting angry with them, feeling bad about getting angry, apologizing, getting angry again, feeling like I couldn't be the father they needed me to be, or that I wanted to be for them, feeling like I was overwhelmed all the time. Within the work category, I would work really hard at times to get things done, make people happy. At other times, I really struggled to work. I really struggled to show up. I scrolled, I distracted myself, and I couldn't understand why. I couldn't make progress on it. I just felt bad and wanted to do better, and at times would for a little bit, but it wouldn't fix it. I'm actually going to share with you today in this video how this resolved in my life, how I shifted and was able to engage these realities and show up and address this feeling of rejection. I was caught under this wave of rejection, not even naming it that or realizing it was that. I now live free from that and then can understand what was going on and how to navigate that on a daily basis. In this video, I'm going to outline what it looks like to feel rejected and to live in that place of rejection further. And then I'm going to talk about the journey towards escaping that rejection that starts with understanding what was going on underneath the rejection. So for me, I started off with this reality of feeling constantly rejected because I felt like people didn't actually know who I was, didn't actually love me for me. And the challenge, the reality is I was showing up in all these relationships trying to get people to like me, trying to get people to appreciate me, to value me, to want to pay me, to want to keep me as a, someone that they paid for work, or, in my home relationship, it wasn't as much that. But in the end, I was trying to make everybody around me happy. And I felt like what would indicate that people around me loved me was that they were going to make me happy too. And this dynamic, this reality of trying to make everybody around me happy was actually trying to avoid rejection. But when I dug underneath of that, when I dug under the pain specifically of the marriage rejection, I realized that it was actually coming from a place of rejecting myself. And this was actually what was going on underneath all of this surface level, was that when I showed up for a client and they were happy with what I did, or when I showed up in a friend relationship, or it did something for someone that I cared about, another guy, or when I did stuff for my kids, when I did stuff for my wife, that I wasn't actually showing up as myself. In all these situations, I was showing up as the version of myself that they would not reject, the version of myself that they would accept or that they would appreciate or value, that they would keep and pay and do things for. And what I realized was that I wasn't showing up as me. And so I actually had no opportunity for them to see me and love me and not reject me. Instead, they were just seeing what I could do for them. And of course, at times they liked that. But in the end, I felt rejected because I didn't feel like I could be myself and them accept me. When I started to let out some of the negative things I was feeling, there would be rejection. Well, it was because I was rejecting myself until I couldn't anymore, and those things would seep out and they came out in toxic ways that I got negative reactions from other people. The issue actually underneath of it had nothing to do with my wife or my friends or my kids. It had to do with me. I didn't know what I wanted. I was unwilling to show up as myself and see if people liked me. I actually didn't even know who I was. I just knew here's the things that get people to like me. Here's the things that get people to engage me. I didn't take the opportunity to see, would people like me? And the reason why is because I didn't know myself. I didn't know what I needed. If you want other people to accept you, the first step is actually for you to accept you. And if you show up as you with whatever it is you're feeling, whatever it is that you're wanting, whatever it is that you're experiencing in the world around you, the longings you have, then other people have the opportunity to accept or reject you. But if you aren't showing up as yourself, you're rejecting yourself. Underneath my feeling of rejection was actually my own rejection, my own disconnection from myself. The first step, if this is where you are, is actually to reconnect with yourself, to start to accept yourself again. This was a interesting journey for me because I didn't have really a guide showing me how to do this, but I started to understand and realize how to pay attention to what I wanted, what I was longing for. And a lot of that came through my emotions. I started to pay attention to my emotions. And in that journey of paying attention to your emotions, they're giving you a sense of where you are. As an author I really love, Chip Dodd, says, they are the voice of the heart. If you want to know what's really going on inside of you, who would you be if you showed up? It's leaking out through your emotions, through your anger, through your sadness, through your hurt. But if you're ignoring all those things, then you don't actually see that. You don't actually understand that. So the first step is actually to start to pay attention to your emotions. Instead of shutting them down, look at them with curiosity. This is a challenging journey if you've spent your whole life, like I did, completely ignoring your emotions on a subconscious level. You know, I learned as a kid that emotions are just going to mess things up. They're just going to make things more painful. So ignore them, suppress them. When I started to feel my emotions, they were coming out big. They were coming out toxic. They were coming out in ways that were unhelpful. I started to realize why people don't feel their emotions, because the emotions themselves are big. But I was actually not just feeling sadness or hurt or loneliness. I was feeling decades of sadness, decades of loneliness, decades of hurt. And really the hopelessness of not feeling those things was what I was feeling. That was big and heavy. Once I started to feel them and process them, I realized they could actually pass through me, and I didn't actually have to become completely controlled by these emotions. I could simply feel them, let them pass through me, aligned to truth. And what I ended up with was an awareness of myself, an awareness of what I wanted, of what I needed, and a willingness to express it and it not be met, and an acceptance of that pain, an acceptance of that hurt. All of this was me accepting myself. And once I realized how to accept myself, then I was able to show back up to my marriage, to my relationships with guys as myself, not rejecting myself. And believe it or not, I actually found a lot more acceptance than I originally experienced. One, because of the potential was there, that they could actually see me for who I was and accept me. But two, because once I accepted it, walked through some of that process, I realized that I actually, a lot of what was being rejected around negative emotion was just me expressing it poorly. And so when I learned to express it better, then I was way more accepted by my wife and by guys in my life. What does this look like in my life now? It's changed where I can actually sense and feel the emotions on a regular basis, and I can accept them. and I can accept the fact that it makes sense to feel fear or anger or sadness or hurt, loneliness at times. But it also then enables me to let those things move through me, address those things, and then show up to these relationships as myself and be accepted. What does this journey look like for you? You could follow your own journey on this and totally track with it. I think the biggest issue that I was facing was lack of awareness. I just didn't understand what was going on inside of me. Even looking back on this now, I'm explaining this, you might be like, I can't even fully track with what you're saying. So the first step might be to actually get some awareness of this. I have two opportunities for you. The first is an assessment that you'll find linked below, where you can take this assessment and it will help you see how aware you are of your emotions and how well you can reflect on them, how much clarity you have about them, whether you can process them, feel them. That'll help you understand where you are, which is a great first step. And it also gives you some things to do moving forward. The second thing is actually I lead guys through a process to see their hearts, see what's going on in them. And for me, the starting point was actually that there was a really big unresolved emotion that was actually not a huge deal to resolve. I just didn't know how to do it. So if you want to go through a process with me to see that unresolved internal tension, to name it, I actually guide guys through this process, because for a lot of them, it's just sort of a skill they don't have at all. So I sit down with you, walk through a way to name those internal tensions and get you some visibility on that. And then I've got options from there on how to learn how to resolve those emotions, how to deal with emotions in a healthy way. Thanks for watching this video. Click on this playlist below with more videos on how to see your emotions, feel your emotions, and move to a place where you become fully integrated and aligned so that you can show up for your job, you can show up for your wife, for your kids, for yourself, emotionally aligned.